Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Man, it has been a while. It's only been a week, actually, but when you're talking about good vibes and these good bits, it's something that I really look forward to. So I really appreciate every single person that has been tuning in, have been giving comments and so forth. And what we're going to do on this show, of course, the good bits, we highlight and promote the good vibes, all the positive stories and all the amazing things that's happening in the world of Bitcoin as far as circular economies, just random acts of kindness, things that people are doing to help to make the world a better place. Oh, sorry for a little echo there. Help to make the world a better place. And whoops, there we go. Sorry about that. A little echo. So, making the world a better place and sharing this wonderful tech with all the people that we absolutely love around the world. And not just that, but educating people, onboarding people. We cover circular economies and we break the show really up into three segments. The first segment is just the kindness, amazing things people are doing. And then the second segment is all the things that happen in the world of circular economies. And third, we like to highlight the builders that are putting all the pieces together behind the scenes to make all this happen. So, gets you a little bit away from the charts, all the things that are, in the news and the headlines, and just focusing on the positive aspects of everything. The first story that I'm going to dive into was kind of interesting how I came across this one. I gave some stats on the first episode, I believe, of the Good Bit Show. Those of you that haven't been tuning in, we've been doing this now. This is the third consecutive week. We'll be here every single week, 7 p.m. And by the way, I didn't fully introduce myself. Those of you that don't know, my name is Taj, also known as Tropic, and I'll be helping out Cade on the stream and promoting all the stuff that we're doing as far as the goodness of Bitcoin, and not just talking about charts, but what does this do for humanity? Because without the people, it is just random code sitting on someone's server, someone's computer, right? So as far as what's going on here now, I was looking at some stats of giving, and of course, I gave a quote of to last year how we broke records. We gave a ridiculous amount of money, well over $1 billion, topping every previous record. And Bitcoiners, of course, gave more than any other ecosystem because number one, we're the ones who have the most liquidity. And number two, as far as being altruistic and just trying to save the world and solving all the problems and all the issues that was in the core foundation of the people that were first in this community, those things still come on. And now that they have the liquidity to do so, those values don't change. Money doesn't make you any different than you were before you had it. It just makes you more of what you had before you had it. So Bitcoiners gave big. So as far as I was looking up some stats and I came across this website, of course, through Giving Block, which does a whole bunch of statistics as towards giving and all those things. But I came across this website, which accepts Bitcoin as donation, and it is called kindness.org. Pulling this up here. Now, there's a whole bunch of things on this website. Now, when you first land on the website, I'm like, kindness.org. That's a great name. And I'll be honest, that's the main reason why I clicked it. I just thought it was just really cool. I'm like, oh, they got kindness.org. But, yeah, let me see what's going on here. Now, you go on the website and it seems kind of fluffy, not going to lie. But they're doing some all sorts of things with tools, with kids, and also challenging people just to do random acts of kindness. And that's the part that resonated most with me, random acts of kindness, because a lot of the times when we're looking at the world, we're looking at all the problems and all of the quote unquote hate and meanness in this world. We think like, man, what can we possibly do to change the world? Well, truthfully, one individual doesn't have to change the entire world, but random acts of kindness can change your world, right? So if everyone's changing the world around them, then it just ripples out. It changes the entire world. So what I liked about this website, besides the domain name, and like I said, that was the main reason why I clicked it. I just thought it was a great domain. But besides the fact that they accept Bitcoin as donations and you can give to this project, but that's between you and your sats. If you want to give to this project, all I'm saying is I like the vibes that was on the website. And I was like, well, if people are giving to this thing, let me see what they're all about. And I just went into it. And I just thought it was just really cool. They have lots of content about just kindness, of course, podcast, basically like these TED Talks. Those of you that don't know TED Talks, they just go on stage and they talk about topics and they find experts from all over the world. They have TEDx and all these different branches now, but just all sorts of things. They just deep dive into it. But kindness is one of the things that they do. They're researching how kindness actually affects the individual. So believe it or not, when you are kind and you give, it actually it releases all sorts of chemicals that's within you and makes you all happy, and things that I'm not going to go into all the science of it, but just put it this way: you could be having an absolutely horrible day, a horrible year, everything's going wrong, but you just decide to, I don't know, feed a random person that you saw on the street, and all of a sudden it seems like your problems went away. Problems really didn't go anywhere. The same problems you had before you fed the person are still there, but just the act of doing that random act of kindness releases all sorts of chemical releases or chemical reactions within your body that then just makes you just respond differently to your environment. So this whole website is just dedicated to that right there. Whether it is students in school, whether it is executives, whether it is, there's a whole section I read about reaching out to family members, and I can go on and on and on, but the whole thing of this is they accept Bitcoin as donations. And if nothing else, I think you should just take up the challenge of what they are promoting, which is simply just being kind. And now I know when you hear that, you're probably thinking like, man, that is just a bunch of baloney, just fluffy, whatever. But the thing is, honestly, it's consistency, and being kind is a lifestyle choice, and it's a practice that does benefit people. And I think it's just really cool that even us internally as a Wolf team, we were thinking of different things that we could be consistent about. So if you've been checking out my personal page at Tropic Vibes on X, I have been doing a daily gratitude tweet. And that all came from just really understanding that, I have so many things to be grateful for, and just appreciating that and expressing that out actually makes me focus on it. And even though things might be going wrong, it does make me feel a lot better. So the whole thing, the reason why I showed that and spent the time speaking about that, yes, they accept Bitcoin. And I know while I was exploring it, just what caught my eye was kindness.org. I was like, that's just a cool domain name. But the fact that they're accepting Bitcoin for this project, doing workshops in schools, I just think it's just really cool. And I just want to highlight that because if nothing else, whether you give to it or not, I don't really personally care. That's between you and your sats. Like I said, I just think it's just a really good challenge. And I challenge you to just go out and just do something random. Just be kind to somebody, whether it is buy them a burger or a drink of water, whatever it might be. Again, that's between you and whatever you want to do. And I think it'll just make your day a lot better. So positive stories and sharing that with you. Hopefully that makes you a lot better too. But now we're going to go into circular economies. Let me share this story that I came across, which I think is really interesting. Oftentimes I speak about Bitcoin Akasi. So those of you that don't know, Bitcoin Akasi is a community project all about Bitcoin. And the founder, Herman, he's doing all of this stuff, setting up these, I guess you would say, trips. They have a road trip. So they have this SUV that they go across the continent, and they're just traveling and connecting with all the local Bitcoin circular economy communities. And they're living on the Bitcoin standard. They're buying their gas. They're doing everything. And it's just really cool that all around the world, they're not the only one that has this, but they're the ones that I just happen to see the most on my timeline. And I just always think it's cool. So in this particular video right here, you see a guy, you can see he is in a shop. Obviously, this isn't like the most high-tech shop. This is just a local business, and he's going up there and he's about to pay in Bitcoin. And I think that's just really cool. I just want to highlight that because, again, a lot of times those of us that are mostly exposed to what's happening in the States, what's happening in Europe, you don't necessarily think of Bitcoin as a means of currency, a means of payment. People aren't spending as much. And I often talk about how Jack Dorsey is speaking and trying to get Square and merchants accepting and using Bitcoin. But here we go. This is just a local shop. And I know it's just replaying right here, but you want to check that out. But in addition to that, there's also a conference that's coming up, right? So January 30th through 31st, this is the Adopting Bitcoin conference, and this is put on by the guys over at Bitcoin Akasi as well. And this is over in Cape Town, South Africa. And it's just highlighting all the amazing things that they're doing. I just kind of gave you a crash course, brief overview of what's happening. But some of the content that you put out, that we put out, you might see that there's over 167 local Bitcoin communities all across the continent of Africa. They're popping up. It's like wildfire. So I mean, they have a map where you can actually interact with them. One of the cool things with Bitcoin Akasi, when they go on their road trips, they actually visit all of them, and they try to connect everyone and see the best practices of onboarding people. And in this video, or in this slideshow right there, the SUV just popped up. But this conference is coming up, and you can see they're doing all this stuff. But again, adopting Bitcoin, I think it's just for one, again, a great name. We're talking about great names as far as kindness.org earlier, but I think great names of adopting Bitcoin, things of that nature, it just makes it that much easier to speak about. And it kind of sums it up. A lot of these conferences that have really cute, wonky, cryptic names, like what's going on here? But this doesn't really need any explanation. You want to find out about what's going on here, just check out their website, check out what they're doing. But that is coming up. So whether or not you're in Cape Town, again, I'm not here to say go buy a ticket and go check this stuff out. But if nothing else, go look at their profile. Go check out the website, see some highlights, maybe connect with some of the speakers, see what's going on there, see what they're working on, how they're doing these workshops. First and foremost, I think is most important, because yes, they're onboarding people. But if you are local and you're thinking, man, it's so far, I can't get to Cape Town, I can't get to any of these places, but I would love to do this locally. Well, I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet. What I do is I connect with various people that I see on these pages, or that I see tweeting about this, because if someone is tweeting or posting about this, then obviously they care about it. Then if I see that they went to it, and it might be harder to get in touch with some of these, website billboard speakers, if you will. But if you see a random person with like 1,000 followers and they're really fired up about Bitcoin and what's going on, and they're tweeting about this, and like, man, I met Herman, I met the guys, I met some of these speakers, and I shook hands, that is a perfect person to reach out to. Like, their DMs are nowhere near as flooded as some of these bigger speakers or big influencers, if you will. But I just think it's just really cool. So the sponsors, Blink, and all of these right here. But anyways, so check that out. Check out all the amazing things that they're doing. I talk about Blink all the time, so I don't really need to go too much into that. But another really cool conference that's coming up, or I shouldn't say conference, this is a little bit deeper than a conference. Now, this is really interesting to me. This is, those of you that saw the thumbnail and the retreat, as far as, wait, what is going on there? This really caught my attention. This one's a little further off, but I just really find it interesting, because a lot of times we talk about orange pilling people. Well, how are you orange pilling people? What exactly are you doing? Are you having that awkward conversation at Thanksgiving or whatever family dinner you might be having? How are you breaking this to your other half if you've already been orange pilled? Well, I think this is a really cool way, because I've done workshops before. I've done different boot camps, but this is a 4-day interactive intensive where you go to this, and it's like a couples retreat, a tropical couples retreat. I'm just kind of breezing through it really quick. There we go. That's what I wanted to get through. Now, imagine being on the ocean just like this, right by the beach. You and your other half are learning about Bitcoin. So this is really for someone who is, I guess you would say, Bitcoin curious. You've heard about Bitcoin. You know, this is something that you probably should take a little bit serious. But how do I really get into it? Well, I've been watching YouTube videos, and I've been talking to people on Spaces, but I really want to get into things a little bit more. Well, some people are hands-on. They're much more in person. They couldn't take an online class or a learn at your own pace course, and they just want to be in the room with people, shaking hands, hugging. And this is a cool way to do it. A tropical thing. They have all sorts of things. And those of you that don't know, Bitcoin Isla, or, this whole project, but Isabel, she is always posting relevant information, not only about whatever effort she's doing, but just whatever Bitcoin is doing around the world in Latin America. Her headquarters and things that she does is usually in Mexico, but she travels all over the world, and she's connecting with Bitcoiners, putting out great content. And if you're into trying to learn about this stuff, I think this is a really cool way to do it. And what I wanted to show you is like the schedule. So they have some really cool stuff over the couple days. And there's cold plunges, not really my cup of tea, but maybe I would jump into that. But I don't know. I'm Jamaican. Me and cold have a hate relationship. But hey, who knows? Maybe I would do a cold plunge if I was with some Bitcoiners. And I know it's really healthy, because even when I used to play football, like they'll say this will add years onto your career just by going into a cold bath. But anyways, not really my thing. But hey, maybe Bitcoiners, you got this intensive, you got workouts and all-inclusive food and all this stuff. So the reason why I think this is actually cool, let me cut back to me really quick. Just again, not saying, hey, go to this thing. This is what I am, I guess you would say, pushing, because I am not pushing this. I am just someone who came across this and I thought it was really cool. And the reason why I thought this was really cool is because I do a lot of workshops as far as trying to teach people about technology, not just within the whole Bitcoin world, but even before that in the Web 2 world of how to use platforms like social media for your business, how to get online, how to be a freelancer, things of that nature. I've done a lot of here in Jamaica because, especially during the pandemic, where a lot of people were coming to us at our local business trying to figure out different things. I was like, well, I can't hire everybody. I can't give everybody money. I can't feed everybody, but I can teach them how to fish. And I started doing some workshops, and that's why I find it very cool. But the interesting thing with this is that it opens the door for couples. And besides being a romantic scene and there's like sunset and you can be sitting by the ocean and all that stuff, what I think is really cool is if one half or one part of the relationship, the marriage, if you will, is investing into Bitcoin and really gung ho about all this stuff, but the other half doesn't truly understand what's going on, there could be a little friction there. But doing this, a couples retreat, something like this, go hang out and have a tropical 4-day experience, but you're also learning about Bitcoin. I think you kill two birds with one stone. And that's why I think it's just really cool. And I think it's a little bit different than a workshop or anything that I've ever seen. But yeah, I just thought it would have been, a good idea to just share that with people because, again, it's just absolutely amazing. But besides that, there's also the tech side. Said this is a 3-part show. We have the feel good stories, if you will, the random act of kindness and so forth. Then we have the circular economies, the educational part that everyone's doing around the world to get people onboarded, which I absolutely love. That's my bread and butter, my fun part. But then there's also the tech part. Those of you that know me, I am a little nerd. Well, not really little because I'm a pretty big guy, but I am a nerd and I love the tech. I love looking at all of the things that are being built. And I was on a space earlier, and there was, I should say, a couple of days ago, and there was a guy that hopped up and he was talking about all the different things that's happening over in Uganda. And he said that the government has cut them off from the internet, and it has been very, very tough. There's some turmoil going on over there. And they're not the only place, by the way. There is other places in Eastern Africa. There's other places such as Cuba, Venezuela, Iran. We're seeing this stuff like popping up all over the globe. And one of the first things that people do, people of power or whatever it is, whether you're the rebels or the opposition, or there's a coup, which I have covered in the past, they cut off the internet because then it helps to spread confusion. You don't want information spreading, but also it cuts off banking and all of those things. Well, just the random people that might be in the countryside, they're not even in the fight, right? But they're now affected and they're dragged into this thing. And it is a problem, even though they didn't sign up for this. So an app, which I think is really, really cool, which I'm going to pull up here, and you might be familiar with this. This is called BitChat. I'm going to pull this up so that way you can take a look at it. And if you're not familiar with BitChat, this is actually created by none other than Jack Dorsey. So Jack Dorsey and his company Block and all the things that they're doing, of course, they have Square, they have the Cash App. They integrate all these different things with Bitcoin now. And many people even think that Jack is Satoshi Nakamoto. That's another discussion for another time. Whether or not you believe that, again, that's between you and your sats. I would say do a little bit more research, but not going to go there. Jack is obviously someone who is a Bitcoiner. He is very, very excited about Bitcoin. Now, connecting these two stories, like why did I just jump all of a sudden all the way from turmoil in East Africa and Cuba and Iran and all this stuff and start talking about Bitcoin? Well, here is something that connects all of this together. BitChat is a messaging app, is encrypted messaging app that works without the internet. It works through Bluetooth, which I think is really, really cool and very beneficial for times like that, where people are cut off from the internet and they're still able to communicate, because those of you that have Apple tags or any of those find a device tags, but Apple is the most popular one. How those actually work is like it doesn't have its own cell phone chip or SIM card or internet connection. It uses the internet, uses the connection of nearby Apple devices. So with Bluetooth, Bluetooth is not going to work hundreds and thousands of miles away, but other nearby Bluetooth devices allows them to basically ping off of each other and create a network and communicate between these devices without the internet. And the cool thing about this, besides the fact that, yes, if some region is completely cut off for whatever reason, doesn't have to even be a coup. It could be a hurricane. We experienced a Category 5 is devastating hurricane. A lot of places in Jamaica still have no power. This has been over 2 months now. This happened October 28th. And some areas, they have no connectivity whatsoever. And Starlink has maxed out on the island. They stopped doing activations. So there's people that are just completely cut off. And something like this would be beneficial because it relays through Bluetooth. So all the nearby devices, it just connects and pings through and makes a connection route. But connecting this whole story back to Bitcoin, in those places, not only are they able to send off messages that are encrypted and do whatever it is that they need to do, but they can also send Bitcoin through this app. So one of the cool things, this is really, really not a pretty app to look at. I'm not going to lie. When I first downloaded it, I'm like, this thing is just god awful. I'm not even going to say I like the design of it. I really don't. It is just very, very bare bones, but it gets the job done. And I think that's just really cool. So those of you that have been on any platform, whether it is on X or whatever, you remember the early days of Twitter before they even had the I in there, and it was like TWTTR, whatever it was. And it was just really weird. It was not pretty. And over time, it evolved into the platform it became. I remember when I joined the Facebook, when Al Pacino was the logo and the name was the Facebook. And yeah, we have since fallen out with such platforms. But back in the early days, it was so just bare bones and ugly, but it got the job done. When I came on that platform, it was literally because my roommate said, hey, you missed the class. Why don't you go ask the girl on Facebook? What's Facebook? Went on it, solved my problem. So solving problems, regardless of how it looks, if it gets the job done, it gets the job done. So this bit chat, I think you just check it out. I think maybe if you understand and appreciate the technology and knowing that, wow, you can send messages and you can spend and send Bitcoin without an internet connection, that is something worth highlighting and sharing with others. Now, you might also be wondering, well, how does that even work? Now, I'm not going to dive into the full technical scope of everything. You can read everything. Just go to BitChat's website. They have a lot of documentation up. This is like open source stuff too, so you can actually like look at it and see how it's working and why it works. But in summary, you're pre-signing transactions, and so when you're sending them through Bluetooth, eventually it's going to get to a device that is connected somewhere, and then that's how it's able to connect to a network and rectify and go onto a block and sign and everything. So how is this happening? Through Bluetooth from device to device in regions without internet. And then eventually, as it bounces from device to device, it makes its way to where it can get on and sign the blocks and everything. But these are pre-signed transactions, so everything's actually set up, and it's just really cool. So even in the most remote areas that are completely cut off from whatever reason, whether it's a natural disaster, political turmoil, civil wars, whatever, solar flares, you name it, this is something that can solve that problem until the device or the person is able to get back online. So covered some amazing stories. At least I think they're amazing. Hopefully you like them too. And hopefully like these good vibe stories, like just cool things that's happening with the Bitcoin ecosystem also excites you, not just to like, comment, and share with your friends, which I do appreciate everyone that does that. It is really cool to see all the good feedback that I've been getting. But what I am most excited about is hearing from people who then go out and they explore. They go and check this stuff out and see what's going on. That really excites me. And that is by far the most exciting thing for me, a part about this. So let me check to see if any of the messages have come through. I do see. Slow down a bit, my dude. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. So I have a habit of I listen to podcasts at 2x speed, by the way, because a 1x speed, that's why sometimes on Spaces it's like, oh man, I love the replays, but for whatever reason you can't do that on iOS devices. I have to do a 2x speed when I'm listening on desktop, or if I'm listening to an Android device. But yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help it. My father and my mother speak at like 4x speed, so I have a hard time keeping it slow. But it's the energy, my friend. But I appreciate it though. I will keep that in mind. I really do appreciate the feedback, because if I'm going too fast, obviously you're not going to catch what I'm saying. But we do need oops, what's it say? Oh yeah, definitely. We do need positivity and education systems around positive, and I do love that too, because you know I just think we just live in a very negative world, and I think we need more connection to positive stories, more connection to positive people, and there's just a lot of stuff going on here, right? So just checking out a few more. You get the best relationships by meeting people in person. Absolutely, 100%. Even the whole Wolf team, right? So I have been on Spaces with them for the longest time. And it wasn't until I was at a conference, shaking hands, looking them in the eye, I'm like, yeah, these guys are really, really cool. I want to get in touch with more of them. I want to build with them, whatever it is that they're going to be doing in the future. I want to be around. I want to be part of this wolf pack. And it all came from in person. It's fun to be online, and we love doing live streams, and we love doing chats and so forth. But yeah, when you do meet us in person, we're real people. It does connect differently. So, what is the key thing you learned? The key thing that I learned, well, I learned a lot as far as this week. By the way, TSN, I appreciate these comments and these questions, because this makes it fun. This makes it interactive. So those of you that are hanging around and you either see an amazing story that you want me to cover, dive into, and share with others, DMs are always open, whether it is at the Wolf Bitcoin, or you can hit me up personally at Tropic Vibes, as it sounds, at Tropic Vibes, and I will cover the story. I'll dive into it. But what I have learned, the most important thing that I have learned this week, I would say, is how BitChat works, because I didn't get it. I'll be honest. When I first heard about BitChat, I downloaded it, and I did. First of all, I didn't have anyone to speak to. I should have just put it on two of my devices and started messing around with it. But it was just kind of, I didn't get it. I honestly, I didn't understand the vision, what he was trying to do here. And I was like, yeah, this is worse than WhatsApp. It's worse than Telegram. This is worse than anything. But understanding how it works and all the Bluetooth relays, and there's the Internet of Things, which people love to talk about. But it's really interesting now that I'm in the world of DPINs and understanding how this stuff actually connects. It really is important in regions where internet connection is not that great, and it can bounce information from device to device until it finds that internet connection. So BitChat to me is something that's really promising, and I really appreciate Jack Dorsey's efforts for that and the whole block team. I like to call out Jack Dorsey because he's the most well-known one, but there's a huge team behind him. So as far as what they're doing, I just think that's really cool, and just learning how that actually works. And again, I'll be honest, I deleted the app, but after hearing from the guy from the Uganda, and you were also on that space, I believe, TSN, that I decided to figure out a little bit more as to why I should be paying attention to this thing. And I appreciated it. So hopefully, again, you guys have enjoyed this stream, and check out the stories and the people that I highlighted. And if there's anything that you would like to see or hear more about, again, my DMs are always open at Tropic Vibes, or you can check us out at the Wolf Bitcoin page right here where we're streaming. Send a DM. We'll try to feature it, especially if it's something that really impacts everyone on a greater level and it's a very positive story. I want to get this on the Good Bit stream, and it could even be a separate thing. It could be nothing about good vibes and benefiting humanity, but it just me the most nerdy, amazing topic that you've ever seen, and you just want to share it with someone. Trust me, we live for those things. So send it to us. We'll definitely find a way to dive into it and highlight it. Really cool stuff there. So appreciate you all. It is a Saturday night, so thank you for hanging out with us, having this with us, and please check us out. We have streams going up tomorrow, spaces. We have content going out every single day of the week now. So it's really amazing. And if you're into TradFi, there's the Wolf Financial page, long-term investing. There is the Wolf Trading page, which stocks and options and all those things. So there's literally something for everybody that has any inclination to finance anywhere within this Wolf ecosystem. But I have had a blast just sharing these good bits with you guys. And I will see you again next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, Saturday evenings. Really appreciate you spending this time with me. See you guys later.